If you've ever struggled with fear, doubt, or worry, and wondering what your true purpose was all about, then this podcast is for you. In this show, your host, Sylvia Worsham, will interview elite experts and ordinary people that have created extraordinary lives. So here's your host, Sylvia Worsham.
Hey, light bringers, it's Sylvia Worsham, your host of Release Doubt, Reveal Purpose. In this episode, we're going to be talking about being authentically you. If you're a woman who is currently navigating a painful chapter in your life, currently undergoing a life pivotal moment, turning point, if you will, this episode is for you. Because in times of change, there's going to be a lot of confusion going on. And you may need to step into an authentic space so that you can start attracting what's meant for you. To do this, I would highly recommend you follow or purchase the book, The Artist's Way. In it, Juliet Cameron, the author, talks a lot about taking yourself out on artist dates. Now, when I first read this, I thought, what is this? It sounds so intriguing to me. I started reading this when I was a single mom of a young 4-year-old boy, and I really wanted to get to know myself. And I went and took myself out on these dates. Now, what she recommends is not taking anyone with you. That means no significant others, no children, no dogs even. So make a list of all the things that bring you joy. So I will give you my list. I wrote down roller skating because when I was a kid, I used to love to go roller skate. And I actually rollerbladed in college. So I really wanted to get back into it, more for exercise purposes, but also for joyful purposes. I put painting with a twist because I always wanted to try that. I put down a pottery class, taking myself out to watch romantic comedies because that's my favorite type of movie. So I made this list and I would take myself out on a date on purpose every week. And I stayed pretty consistent with it. And on weeks I wasn't consistent with it, I didn't put myself down. I simply did it the next week. And I continued that consistently for many years afterwards. So for those women, again, that are wanting to really understand who they are and really wanting to step into an authentic space, taking yourself out on dates once a week is step number one. Number two is make a list and reflect on the values that you hold dear to your heart. Now, my top values, as I've described in past episodes, are faith, family is number one. Number two is integrity. And number three is, you got it, authenticity. So how am I living these values on a daily basis? And that's what I would sit with myself with and reflect on. Because what you want to do is you want to live these values on a weekly basis. Because this is who you are at your core. When you start stepping into that authentic space that is uniquely you, you will attract what is meant for you. And you will start shining that big, bold, beautiful light inside of you that is longing to shine brightly. And those spiritual gifts are there to be discovered, if you will. And the way we start discovering these spiritual gifts is in joy, in the journey. This is where, in this space of our journey, it starts to be revealed. Some of this purpose in our life and God's master plan begins its revelation in joy, in that peace after we've journeyed through our fear and step confidently into our joy space and start living out these values on a daily, sometimes a weekly basis. But more importantly, to step into who you are at your core. The third and final thing I will recommend you do is identify which boundaries you want to start implementing. And I mean healthy boundaries. What do I mean by a boundary, and more specifically, a healthy. Let's say, for example, in your relationships in the past, you were a people pleaser. Now, come on, all the women listening, you know you are, you know you please. That's just in our nature. Do you know why? Because we are very loving, nurturing, estrogen-driven women. And we love to please the people in our lives. But sometimes we do it to our own detriment. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, I think you do. Where it starts to cost us dearly when we step in there and we overstep our bounds. Or some other people, we allow others to overstep our bounds. So there are limits, boundaries that you can implement in a healthy way. Let me give you an example of what that sounds like and looks like. So let's say in years past, you would allow people in your family to tell you what to do. And inwardly, you would feel bad because this is what's happening. They are, and I hate to say this word, violating, this is a really strong word, one of your values. And that's why it triggers you. Yeah. When people trigger you, you have to thank them for it. And I think that sounds really strange for a lot of people because triggers don't feel very good, do they? No. But why you want to thank them is that trigger actually made its way from the subconscious part to the conscious part of your mind, where now you're feeling something. It's giving you clues as to what bothers you about others, and more importantly, who you want to become. So that's why it's so important to thank the person that triggered you, right? So let's say certain people, you've allowed certain people in the past to tell you what to do, and now you've come to a different space in your life, and it doesn't feel good. So you want to implement a healthy boundary. Here's a healthy way of addressing this boundary with your loved ones. You can say in a very respectful and loving tone, I know in years past, I would let you tell me what to do, but I got to tell you, it doesn't feel good. And I know who I'm becoming. And I would really ask you lovingly to not do that. And that's setting yourself up for success with that person because you're being loving in your approach. You're not yelling at them. You're not getting angry at them. You're not disrespecting them, because when we react to a certain trigger, we're reacting in a subconscious manner, in an automatic way we've trained our mind to do. And sometimes it's not a very nice way, because at times we've allowed these things to continue for too long. And now where the one little thing is going to trigger you, and these other 50 things are going to spill out of you in not a very good way. So remember, guys, what you want to do is you want to implement those healthy boundaries now. So let's review what this episode is all about. How to be authentically. Number one, take yourself out on artist dates like Julia Cameron recommends in her book, The Artist Way. That means taking you by yourself out on a date. And that means making a list of all the things that bring you joy and doing it on purpose every week. Number two is make a list and reflect on the top 3 values and how you are expressing those values on a weekly basis. Number 3 is to reflect on creating healthy boundaries in your relationships. I'm Sylvia Worsham. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode on how to be authentically you. Stay tuned. Our next episode will be diving deeper into our fear-based patterns of behavior. Stay safe. Love y'all. See you next week.
So that's it for today's episode of Release Doubt, Reveal Purpose. Head on over to iTunes or wherever you listen and subscribe to the show. One lucky listener every single week who posts a review on iTunes will win a chance in the grand prize drawing to win a $25,000 private VIP day with Sylvia Worsham herself. Be sure to head on over to releasedoubtrevealpurposepodcast.com and pick up a free copy of Sylvia's gift and join us on the next episode.